Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Well, it's 10 a.m. on Saturday, and for the first time in a while, I actually got 8 hours of sleep continuously. I went to bed around 1:30, 2 o'clock last night, and I feel so good, and I feel like I'm a billionaire just from getting a good night's sleep. I'm not joking about that. Last night, if you had asked me, would you rather have $1 billion or just have a good night of 8 hours of sleep? I can't tell you what I would choose. I really can't. That's how good I feel from this good night of sleep. And I had an interesting dream last night as well. And my once again, I feel like I'm on track to becoming a billionaire again. Earlier this year, I just knew I just know someday I'm gonna be a billionaire with either the bismuth becoming worth a lot, or just my art projects going really well, or just something that I'm gonna come up with. I don't know why. I feel like every put it this way, when I'm having a really stressful day, especially a day where I don't have enough time to sleep, or somebody driving me crazy, at my work, or traffic issues. Yesterday, I almost got into a car accident. When I'm having a day like that, I remind myself that just push through it. You'll be one day closer to becoming a billionaire. Now, traffic has been driving me crazy because a couple weeks ago, when I went to pay my car insurance bill, I noticed it had jumped quite a bit. Not from any of my doing. I haven't gotten into an accident, gotten a ticket, anything like that. Just that prices are all going up, right? Because of Let's Go Brandon, right? And I thought, there's a silver lining to it. Because first of all, my first thought when I paid the higher insurance bill, which was 20% higher or so, I thought to myself, gee, I really got to watch my driving because I don't want to get into an accident and make that bill any higher than it has to be. It's been 7 years since I've gotten into an accident that was my fault. And so I thought to myself, gee, I really can't get into an accident like that, especially today, now more than ever. And I thought, I hope other drivers on the road feel that way too, because the roads here in Phoenix can get really crazy. And then I paid the bill. And then as soon as I paid it, I went out onto the road and people were driving crazier than ever. And I'm thinking, and also 2 days after I paid that bill, I actually saw two cars that had just crashed while I was on the highway. And I'm thinking to myself, I feel so badly for these. They have to pay an extra 20% plus whatever that car accident's going to cost them. And I'm thinking, how can they afford this? It just makes my heart sink. I don't know how people are affording to do all the crap that they're doing these last couple of years. I remember when gas prices first shot up in the wake of Putin. And also, I don't need to tell you guys at the grocery store, everything is costing double as much as it did back in 2019. I don't know how people are affording to stuff their faces. I go to the break room at work, or I go to the food court at the shopping mall, and I just see this. It's not even eating anymore. It's like vacuuming food. I don't know how people afford it. And the truth is, these people are likely not affording it. They're doing that so that one day they can be homeless, right? The truth is that's a lot of people, right, that aren't willing to admit that's the case, right? And they're certainly not most of these people that I'm witnessing are not billionaires in the making. That's for sure, right? They're doing that in lieu of putting money into their Roth IRA or buying physical bismuth, right? That's probably the most likely the case, right? I try to remind myself that's what it is when I witness any of that. But I like I said, I haven't gotten into an accident in 7 years. It's kind of interesting why I've been so careful with my driving. At first, it wasn't because of insurance premiums. I had a girlfriend at one point. She was 7 years my junior, and I didn't want to get her hurt. while she was in the car, and so I got a lot of my safe of driving experience from driving her around. And then we broke up at the beginning of the pandemic, and my I didn't drive very much during that time. But not long after that, Let's Go Brandon was threatening to inject us with this poison. And I didn't want to get myself incapacitated in a car accident where I would be taken to a hospital and possibly given that shit. Right. And so I became very, very vigilant, not only with driving, but with all sorts of other stuff during that time. I didn't want to get myself in a situation where I wasn't in my own control. Lately, it's been because of my art projects. I stash a lot of my art in my car because I go to so many art shows that I don't want to just unload my car every time. And as a result, every time I drive, I got to worry about my car getting into an accident or my car being stolen or anything like that. So I've been very vigilant about how I take care of my car as a result. So just very unusual situation all around that has forced me to drive. And then now with the insurance bill going up 20-30%, I definitely don't want to be getting into an accident. Unfortunately, so many people on the road don't share the kind of sentiment. I wonder if more and more people become homeless and they have to move their lives into their car. I wonder if it will make them safe drivers. They don't want to get into an accident and have all their worldly possessions be damaged, right? I don't know. It's obviously not the ideal way to cause people to become safer drivers, but our roads are just crazy. I used to live around a lot of people who live in their cars because I lived in my car. I had a bunch of quote unquote neighbors, and I can attest they drive a whole lot better than your average driver. They have to. And so I hope it doesn't go in that direction. That's obviously not the ideal way to make people a safe driver, but it does the trick a lot of times, right? I had a dream last night. I dreamt. See, I talk about how life has been kind of challenging because of my being single and having to handle my life by myself. And unfortunately, I am auto romantic. I feel romance toward myself, but I do want to look for that life partner. But unfortunately, a lot of life partners want that romance, and it's been tricky thinking about how to deal with this. I dreamt that over at GCU, I had met it's either a janitor or one of the security people there. One day, just after work, I start wandering through the campus. Just I like to scavenge for stuff. I'm going to be thinking about making some art out of aluminum, and I'm going to try make melting some aluminum cans again. And if it goes well, I might have to scavenge some aluminum cans from campus or something like that. I dreamt I was at GCU just looking for random metal to melt, and as I'm wandering through the campus, I meet one of the janitors there, and we had a good discussion. And somehow the idea that she is also solosexual came up, and we struck up a conversation like that. I oftentimes when I dream something, it actually comes true. So I'm really excited about that. The dream kind of paralleled another dream that I had many, many years ago. I dreamt that I was at a computer Olympiad conference when my ex girlfriend was there, and she also studied computer science, but she wasn't doing computer AI. So I don't know why I dreamt she was at that conference, but I dreamt that she was there with her new boyfriend. And as I got to the elevator and I held the door for the two of them, my ex girlfriend looked to her new boyfriend and said, "Oh, don't get into the elevator with this guy. He has a disease. So we'll wait for the next elevator." It was in 2019 when I had the dream. I woke up shaking, thinking that why would my ex girlfriend think I have a disease? And so I thought this was my wake up call. I was grappling with binge eating problems around the time. And so at the beginning of 2020, I made a New Year's resolution to normalize my relationship with food. Now, what made the dream really upsetting was that around the same time, my ex girlfriend didn't want to talk to me anymore. And now I'm dreaming that she thinks I have a disease. and she has since talked to me again, so that's good. But I woke up shaking, thinking, what is she thinking about me? Well, 2 months into the resolution, we really did have an issue where nobody wanted to get into an elevator with somebody else over a disease. So that was a nice, warm, fuzzy feeling that I often dream things that later come true. And that's what it is. And it gave an explanation to that, other than the fact that I had a bad eating disorder problem, right? I don't get how people afford to binge eat. I really don't. Aside from the fact that they're doing it in lieu of saving for retirement, right? Which probably is the case, right? Every time I see somebody living on the street or living in their car or something like that, I try to remind myself 5 years ago they were stuffing their faces instead of saving up for whatever issue they're dealing with today, right? And that usually puts the kibosh on trying wanting to eat everything that I want to eat, right? This is the Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum. Bum 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 bum. The Peter Dislike Show. Bum 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 bum.